To all. The topic of our lecture is air pollution, definition, and sources. Now, air is never found clean in nature and it is due to natural and man made pollution. Air pollutants are present in the atmosphere in concentrations that disturb the equilibrium in the atmosphere. These pollutants are substances which cause damage to the target or the receptor. The target may be man, animal, plant, tree, building, or material which is adversely affected by pollutants. Now, there are several types of pollutants in the atmosphere. These pollutants are divided into two categories: primary pollutants and secondary pollutants. And their sources are also numerous. So, what is air pollution and how we can describe air pollution? So, air pollution can be defined as substances put into air by the activity of mankind having concentration sufficient to cause harmful effect to his health and to plants. Now, let us consider the sources of these primary pollutants. The major source of air pollution is the particulate and the gaseous matter. Now, there are five primary pollutants which together contribute more than 90% of global air pollutions. These primary pollutants are carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxides, represented as NOx, and this includes both NO and NO2. Sulfur oxides, represented by SOx, it contains both sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide, hydrocarbons, and particulate matters. Now, first we will consider the natural processes which contribute to these pollutants in the atmosphere. Natural processes like volcanic action, natural gas emission, electrical discharge during storms, seed germination, marsh gas production, etc., contribute in a small measure to carbon monoxide in the atmosphere. However, the significant contribution comes from the transportation, forest fires, agricultural burning. Agricultural burning refers to or implies controlled burning of forest debris, crop residues, brush, weeds, and other vegetations. Industrial processes like smelters and metallurgical plants also contribute towards the presence of carbon monoxide in the atmosphere. Another factor responsible is the natural bacterial action, which is responsible for more than half of the nitrogen oxides, and it is mainly present in the form of NO, that is nitric oxide. The rest is generally from man made sources. The distribution of nitrogen oxides from natural sources is more or less uniform on a global basis. But from man made sources, it varies depending on whether the area concerned is urban or rural. In urban atmosphere, uh, nitrogen oxides are 10 to 100 times greater than in rural areas. The major man-made source which contributes towards the nitrogen oxides in air is the combustion of coal, oil, natural gas, and gasoline. Natural sources, particularly trees, emit large quantities of hydrocarbons in the atmosphere. And methane is the major naturally occurring hydrocarbon which is emitted into the atmosphere. And it is produced in considerable quantities by bacteria in the anaerobic decomposition of organic matter in water sediments and soil. The equation can be represented, or the reaction can be represented by the following expression: 2CH2O, which is acted upon by bacteria and it gets converted into carbon dioxide and methane, that is CH4. Domestic animals are another source of contribution of methane to the atmosphere. Now, it has been estimated that anthropogenic sources, that is, the human activities, they contribute about 15% of the hydrocarbons which are emitted to the atmosphere each year. Next major pollutant is the sulfur oxides. Natural processes, for example, volcanoes, they provide 67% of the sulfur oxides pollution which is more or less evenly distributed all over the globe. And man-made sources contribute about 33% of sulfur oxides pollution, which is somewhat more localized in urban areas rather than the rural areas. Among man-made sources, fuel combustion and that also that of coal in stationary sources accounts for 74% of sulfur oxides emission. Industries contribute 22%, and transportation contributes 2% of the total sulfur oxide emission. In other words, coal fired power stations are the major culprit in this respect, followed by the industrial plants. Small solid particles and liquid droplets are collectively termed as particulates. These are a major source of pollution in the atmosphere, and these are present in the atmosphere in large numbers. Particulates range in size from a diameter of 0.0002 micron to a diameter of 500 micron, where 1 micron is equal to 10 to the power minus 6 meters. Now, particulates have a lifetime which varies from a few seconds to several months. This lifetime, however, depends upon the size and density of the particles. It also depends upon the turbulence of air. There are numerous natural processes which inject particulate matter into the atmosphere, and a study has given the data that up to 800 to 2000 million tons of particulates are being deposited in the atmosphere each year. Volcanic eruptions, blowing of dust and soil by the wind, spraying of salt and other solid particles by seas and ocean, etc. They also contribute towards the particulate matter in air pollution. Contributions from man-made activities are fly ash from power plants, smelters and mining operations, and smoke from incomplete combustion process also contribute towards the particulate concentration in the air. Other sources which contribute towards particulate presence and leading to air pollution are fuel combustion from stationary sources, industrial processes, forest fires, agricultural burning, etc. Thank you.